right, in the presence of greatness here on the Tiber River with all these emperors and stories I was talking about. Hadrian, Emperor Hadrian's tomb is right there. Castel San Angelo. Augustus's tomb is down there. St. Peter's Basilica is right there. All right, but after Constantine and some councils, like the Council of Nicaea and another emperor in the late 300s made Christianity, Roman Catholicism, the state religion, which was groundbreaking. And the head of that religion was right there at the Vatican City Church, St. Peter's Basilica, and also several other places where many churches were sprouting up, and also, importantly, in Constantinople. All right, but let's focus on the city here. As soon as Christianity became the state religion, a lot of people believe that was the downfall of the Western Empire. Unfortunately, one of the contributing factors, most likely. All right, so in 410 AD, there was some pressures from a Central Asian people kind of related to the Mongols called the Huns, who came in from the steppes of Asia into the Roman Empire, kind of around Serbia, Bulgaria area now. And this caused another people, because they were slaughtering their way through Europe, another people that was living there called the Goths were pushed up to the borders of the empire. The Romans didn't treat the Goths very well. The Goths wanted, oh boy, then someone just threw plastic right in the river down there. The environment, man, come on. Jeez. Okay. The Goths wanted entrance into the empire, and the Roman legions weren't letting them, and they were starving. They had to sell their children. Here comes another one. They had to sell their children, and it was pretty bad. So the Goths were, mass of them were on the border of the empire, and this guy named Alaric decided to act a general, soldier. So Alaric raised an army and went into the empire. So some Goths were like let in, but they weren't given many rights and everything, so they just said, screw this, we're done with these rules, you're treating us like crap, we don't want to get killed by the Huns. The Romans were nervous about the Huns also. So Alaric and his massive army stormed the city of Rome in 410 AD, asking to be accepted as citizens. The proud Romans denied them, and they invaded. 40,000 barbarian Gothics stormed Rome, Goths, and they looted wealthy Romans' villas, raping women, killing people in the streets, all kinds of terrible things. 410 AD. That's real history, baby. I tell you how it was. All right, but the Goths, though, were Arian Christians, which was a different sect of early Christianity called Arianism. The people here, though, were not. After the councils, they decided what kind of Christianity they were. I'm not an expert on this, so let's just leave it at that. All right. So the invading Goths respected the Christian sites. They didn't loot or burn any of the nice churches like St. Peter's Basilica, the old one, that's the newer one. And they respected all the Christian sites, the Goths, invading Goths. But the city believed, and the new Christians everywhere believed, that the city holding on to its Roman past, its paganism past, upset God. And that's why they were punished by the devil, the encouraging barbarians. And this changed the path of the city forever. They kind of got the city back, but not really. The Goths were in here, and then another group, the Vandals. That's why we have the word vandalism. The Vandals came into Rome in 455 AD and also sacked the city. So there was a lot of terrible stuff going on in the 400s. They had no control over the city, basically, or its security. Lastly, though, Rome finally officially fell. 475 AD. a man named Odoacer took the city and all of Italy. So that was it. 753 BC to 475 AD. Rome was under its own control for the most part, except for one attack by the Gauls we talked about a long time ago. And that was it. They lost the city. The eternal city fell into barbarian hands. All the great emperors, Hadrian and Augustus buried over there, and Constantine buried in Constantinople were crying. The ancestors of the Romans. Oh, it was a terrible loss. Terrible. The child emperor, the last emperor of Rome, I think his name was Romulus Augustus, actually. Very ironic. He was banished. He was a kid. He was like a teenager, 13 years old, down to Naples, where he lived out the rest of his life. And the over 1,000 year history of Rome was over. So by 536 AD, Rome and all of Italy, for all this time, was ruled by a set of different barbarian kings for decades. The Eastern Empire, though, was still thriving from Constantinople, kind of, and an emperor, Justinian the Great. He wanted to recapture the lost territories of the Roman Empire. So he raised the last probably excellent legions ever, and he fought on behalf of the Pope, Papa, in the 500s, and they let the Christianity still exist, the barbarians and the Pope and everything, but the Pope had a falling out though with Justinian, the authority, and the Pope was banished outside of Rome when Justinian came in. The Byzantine forces finally sacked Rome. So the Byzantines retook Rome, and it was a terrible battle at the Aurelian walls. They had to force their way in, and the people of Rome actually really suffered during this time. They were really starving, and no food was coming in, and they were used to their barbarian kings, and they were kind of happy with it. They're just living life, trying to survive, intermingling. It was over 100 years, so it was a lot of assimilation with the new culture that was here, the Germanic people. So this stressed the economy, and disease, starvation, and lots of destruction in the city happened with this. The population plummeted of Rome. The once grand city began to crumble, and its ancient, beautiful buildings were relics to a lost time. Oh, it's tragic. The Byzantines held on to the old city for a while, but most people would rather love the Pope over there than the Eastern Emperor from Byzantium. We saw the German Prime Minister actually right now, Angela Merkel, driving through Rome. That was pretty interesting. Just saying that I just saw her. That was pretty crazy. Okay, back to the history. Let's tell the story here. Lombards were the next people that came in, which is the origin of the name Lombardy and Lombardo and Lombards, like in northern Italy, and families that traveled south, like my camera woman here. Or Lombards entered, more Germanic people, and most of the imperial forces and people abandoned the city. They went back to the Eastern Empire. Too dangerous here. But although the city, though, remained in Byzantine control, it started to be run by the Pope for centuries after this. The Pope right there, Vatican City. The Pope made an agreement with Constantinople, with the Franks and with the Lombards, so the city king was now the head of the church, the Pope, 500s AD. Alright, so 580 to 590, the Lombards made a deal with the Catholic Church, and Pope Gregory was given a kingship of sorts of Rome, using his wealth to feed the city and revitalize it to an extent. The Tiber River here, wow, look at that. It's really green, I wonder why. Rome used to, he was really rich, Pope Gregory, in the late 500s. All right, now we're going into the 600s AD. The first time that the establishment of the Pope was as powerful as it remained throughout history. 600 AD. Okay. He was the first Pope to send missions as far-off lands like England and Syria and all kinds of places. And tons of people started becoming Christian and Catholic in lands where they were pagans for millennia. Rome became the Christian capital of the world, and leaders from all over Europe came to it. Right there. There were churches scattered all over the place and built with relics and different things. It became a pilgrimage site for many things, like the grill St. Lawrence was grilled on. He was a martyr, and pieces of the true cross and the steps of Pontius Pilate's palace was over here. All these super holy Catholic and Christian relics were stored in the city. Pilgrims came from all over Europe, from as far away as England and Russia, who knows, man, all over the place, 600s. The travelers, though, that came into the city, they took relics home with them. They bought them from, people looking to make money, and the Pope was kind of appalled by this because they were saints' bones and stuff like that, and he thought touching a saint's bone would create instant death. But it didn't stop the city from becoming very famous and leading the Pope to the status it is to this day. Gregory died in early 600s AD, and the city still enjoyed a new revitalization as a holy Christian city. #1 in the world because Jerusalem, the other holy city of the world, was facing pressures from a new force. But we'll get into that in a second. Column right here, 602 AD, was the last thing to be put up in the Forum by a Byzantine emperor. Byzantium. They consider themselves Romans, not Byzantium. That's a name given to them later. Their capital was in Constantinople, present-day Istanbul. They reconquered the area of Rome, but it was kind of a ramshackle of what it once was, unfortunately. But they wanted to put up one more column of glory. They were Christian by this time too, but they likely took this from somewhere else. They didn't make it like the other columns. This was from probably 200s AD, and the Byzantine Emperor Phocas put this up. Phocas with a PH. To secure the city, the Pope began making a deal with the Franks, and they were granted large tracts of Italy. 774 AD, King Charlemagne of the Franks conquered the Lombard kingdom of Italy that existed for a long time. But a new threat was on the rise: Islam. Muslims began conquering many lands, including Jerusalem, and they thought Rome was going to be next. So in 800 AD, right there, the king of the Franks, Charlemagne the Great, came to Rome and made an alliance with the Pope, being anointed the Holy Roman Emperor. There was vigorous rebuilding efforts afterward in Rome. So the Holy Roman Empire was supposed to be like a revitalization of the empire. It had all these lands of France and Germany and Poland and different areas all scattered about. But it wasn't really an empire. It was a bunch of duchies and little kingdoms. And at first, though, it was pretty strong with Charlemagne. There was places all over the place that were affiliated with this, Christian cities. The Pope had a big role in the Holy Roman Empire with the King Charlemagne the Great. So it never quite became an empire, though. And the city, after Charlemagne and different kings following that, kind of was abandoned. They focused more on like Germany. And actually in 846 AD, Arab forces from North Africa stormed Rome. the Aurelian walls stopped the North African raiders, but they got into the Vatican and they looted and stormed St. Peter's Basilica, the only time that's ever happened. And Pope Leo built new walls around the Vatican in response. Alright, so this is really interesting. This is a gate that's no longer used of the Vatican City. So these are the walls here of the smallest country in the world, the seat of the Catholic Church. And there's the symbol, the Pope up there that you see really in churches all over the place. Ireland, Poland. I've seen that hat. It means like the Pope, and coat of arms, I think. Anyways, these walls, I don't think all of it's original, but they were built in the 800s after there was a pretty bad sack of this area by some North African raiders. Anyways, so it's been like that ever since. Country since 1929, and it goes all around the tiniest country in the world, a little city-state. Pretty cool. Real quick, so the papacy after this was holy, but also a power-hungry leader of the city with a lot of debauchery and scandal and corruption, unfortunately. But that's how things were all around the world at this time, 800s AD. So many used their authority for inquisitions and torture people maybe that wanted to be pagans still, or enemies of the church, or who knows. And they used this castle right here, Hadrian's tomb, which turned into Castel San Angelo because someone had a vision of an angel up there, is the archangel Michael on top, who is the God's warrior that kills the devil. They had a vision up there to build a church there, and then it became a castle, something like that. But the actions inside the castle soon were not very angelic. Many people got thrown in there, rivals, tortured, killed. In the 800s, it was really crazy. The successive Holy Roman Emperors of Germany wanted to lessen the power of the Pope because he started getting really scandalous and messing with too many noble families. But the noble families of Rome and others played this game for centuries. So next, in 1084, the Normans sacked Rome. The Normans of England fame. Once again, if you don't know who the Normans are, the Normans are descendants of Vikings and French mixture that lived in an area called Normandy. They went into England and sacked London. They went into Sicily. The Normans were all over the place. They were holy warriors, and Viking blood was running through their veins. They were awesome. So they came into Rome, 1084, and also took it over. And the Pope aligned with them at first for protection against the Germans in the north, who started causing problems. And the city kind of ruled itself for a while. Ooh, look at that. I hope the horse is treated nicely. I kind of don't like that, but we're talking about history. That's how people got around for centuries, millennia actually, horseback on these ancient bridges. All right, so back to the story. 1143, there was an uprising against the nobility of Rome, and the place got turned into a tiny population of its former grandness. Almost a backwater from its amazing past. Pilgrims were coming in still to see the holy sites, but there was a lot of problems like rioting and violence, and fires were set all the way into the 1200s, especially with that 1143 uprising. Few popes even wanted to live in Rome in the 1200s, with constant families vying for power. It was a cesspool, Rome. It was at one of its lowest points ever. Tiny population, almost like a village, a lot of people said now, with ancient monuments scattered about. Only like 20,000 people lived here. Finally, in 1309, the Pope abandoned Rome. The Pope was aligned with the French, and he moved to Avignon, France. Abandoned the Vatican, 1309 AD. And there was stories about Rome being filled with beggars and thieves and murderers and rapists and all kinds of terrible stuff was going on. Wolves would stalk the streets at night. There was just huts scattered everywhere, kind of like this on the river right now. Homeless people, you know, like that. Most people relied on money from the steady stream of pilgrims that were coming into the city, and when the Pope left, that stopped. So, you know, people to this day rely on the money of tourists coming into the city. Same kind of thing, right? Huh? All right, so the Avignon popes, though, in 1334, they kind of wanted to be more involved with Rome, but they didn't want to move back. And finally, a woman got the Pope in 1377 to move back into the city, and she is now the patron saint of all of Europe and Italy, and her name escapes me right now, sorry. But next in the city, though, something terrible happened, and in this day and era, Mashkin era, with the virus going on, same kind of story, but way worse. The Black Death hit Rome in the 1300s, and Rome hit its lowest population this time because of death since the 700s BC. Lowest population since 700 BC in the 1300s. The city was filled with vermin, rats running around. Wolves stalked the streets at night, like I said before, and everywhere you walked, you had a chance of getting mugged or killed, robbed by thieves. Oh, man. 1300s Rome was rough. But yeah, that's the story of the late empire, fall of the Western Roman Empire, rise of the Pope, and the depths of the 1300s. And next, we'll get into the Renaissance period. Bellissimo. History, the most history of any city in the world.